Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the quiet, timeless world of a Byzantine monk who has never left his solitary cell. Imagine waking up to a life where the hours move slower, where your only companions are prayer and reflection, and where each moment is shaped by the rhythm of your soul. It's a life of devotion, of silence, and of profound peace. But trust me, you probably won't survive this level of stillness. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to tell me where you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Hey guys, tonight we slip behind the cloistered veil of the Byzantine Empire to experience a life of holy solitude. A day in the skin of a monk who never, not once, left his tiny stone cell. The wind outside might whisper through pines and past crumbling mosaics, but you're inside, always inside, where the walls are cool to the touch and silence has weight. You trudge through sleep, barely feeling the coarse wool wrapped around your shoulders. Your back aches, partly from the straw mattress you call a bed, partly from just everything else. It's black as ink, but dawn is near. A candle stub flickers in the icon lamp, casting long, trembling shadows of saints on the wall. Their golden faces stare down with serene judgment. That guilt you feel? Standard issue. You probably won't survive this day, by the way. Not without a heated blanket or at least some coffee. But then again, you didn't become a recluse to be cozy. You became one to reach God, and God doesn't do underfloor heating. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your first breath is shallow. The cell stinks faintly of old wax, damp stone, and the sourness of wool robes too long unworn by anyone else. You slept in them again. Honestly, they've started to feel like a second skin. Itchy, slightly moldy skin. You sit up on your straw mattress, the rustle breaking the thick silence. No clock tells you it's time, it just is time. Your body knows, tuned like a monastic sundial. Today, like yesterday, and like every day since your vows, begins in the same austere rhythm. You live by the horologion, the book of hours, and right now? It's time for matins. You rub the sleep from your eyes and reach for the candle stub with fingers stiff from the cold. You strike flint against steel, and after a few frustrating clicks, the wick sputters into a small flame. Shadows leap across the stone. The icon of Christ Pantocrator above your tiny altar catches firelight in its golden nimbus. His gaze never blinks, never softens. You kneel. Your voice croaks out the opening prayer. Low, scratchy, slow. You haven't spoken since last night's complaint. Your vocal cords feel like a door hinge in winter. The chants come next, ancient words in Greek, floating in your small chamber like incense without smoke. No one hears you, no fellow monk, no abbot, not even a cat. But you chant anyway because that's what you do. You are your own choir. Historians still argue whether anchoritic monks, those like you who chose total solitude, had regular contact with the outside world through letter exchanges or discreet servant visits. But in your case, nothing. No footfalls outside your door. No notes. No gossip. Just God and the ceaseless ticking of silence. Above you, faint creaking. The wind shifts the wooden beams in the roof. A bat stirs. Yes, again. You named him Theophanes because somehow even a bat deserves a saint's name when he shares your ceiling. You rise after matins and shuffle to the basin in the corner. You splash your face with yesterday's water, ice cold enough to make you gasp. You mutter a blessing through chattering teeth. Not just a ritual, this might be the only thing today that feels remotely refreshing. Then comes lauds, The next hour of prayer? Same position, same candle, same chance. Your knees are familiar with the stone floor now. You stopped using the cushion 2 winters ago when you decided a little suffering was good for the soul. Your joints disagree. A fringe tidbit. Byzantine monks like you often prayed barefoot, even in winter. Because what's a little frostbite when you're aiming for sainthood? As you chant, the outside world begins to wake, though you'll never see it. Chickens probably squawk in the distant courtyard. Some sleepy novice in the main monastery knocks over a bucket. But not you. You are the monk who never leaves his cell. Not for feast days, not for processions, not even for funerals. You chose this. Well, not exactly. You might recall the plague that swept the countryside when you were 13. How your older brother died coughing, and your mother walked into the chapel and didn't walk out. That was the year the abbot found you curled up by the altar, swearing you'd never leave the sacred walls again. And here you are, decades later. Still true to your word, still alone. You finish lauds and extinguish the candle. For a moment, darkness returns fully. But outside, through the high, narrow slit of a window, the sky is beginning to pale. Morning, your body stiffens as you stand again. The day is just beginning, and no, there's no breakfast buffet, no hot tea, no stretch breaks. But hey, at least you're not in the military. The chill has settled deep into your bones by now, like a house guest who doesn't know when to leave. But there's no time to wallow. The canonical hours don't care that your toes are numb or that you've pulled the same robe over your head for the last 3 years. Terce is next, the 3rd hour after sunrise. You kneel once again on your battered prayer rug, which smells faintly of goat and humility, and begin the chant. This one's shorter, mercifully so. Just a few psalms, a Kyrie Ellison here and there, and a deep bow that makes your spine pop like a dry branch. You wonder briefly if you're shrinking. Probably. St. Simeon the Stylite stood on a pillar for 37 years. Surely your own slow compaction into the floor is part of some divine geometry. Terce fades into quiet. You sit, cross-legged now, rubbing warmth into your palms. The candle's gone out again. You don't relight it. Sunlight trickles in now, pale and weak like watered wine, through the slit in the wall. It lands on your icon shelf, illuminating one dusty halo at a time. You permit yourself to stretch, a long, drawn motion that pops your shoulders and makes your scapula sing. No one is watching. That's both the freedom and the curse of your life. You could sing bawdy songs, you could dance naked, you could invent a new heresy right here on the spot, but you don't. Because what if the saints are watching? Worse, what if they're taking notes? Sex comes next, the 6th hour after sunrise, and the point at which you stop pretending your stomach isn't sending you passive-aggressive signals. But the rules are the rules. Prayers before food, always. You murmur the psalms trying to focus, but your mind keeps drifting to that barley loaf in the basket. It's sitting there, wrapped in a faded cloth, judging you. There's a debate among historians over just how rigidly Byzantine monks followed the Typikon, the detailed liturgical manual that dictated every moment of their day. Some claim the rules were bent constantly, others say deviation was unthinkable. You're not brave enough to test the theory. Finally, after the final Amen, you allow yourself to stand, slowly because your knees have developed their own ideas about rebellion. You approach the wooden shelf that holds your food. One barley loaf, dense as stone, one clay jug of water, and, if you're lucky, one wizened fig left from last week's ration. Today, no figure, just bread. Stale and slightly green at one end. You sit and eat in silence, tearing off a piece with your teeth. It's like chewing through a lecture on humility. Your water is cold enough to jolt your molars, and for a moment you remember the taste of wine. Not in a sinful way, just wistfully, like remembering the smell of your mother's cooking or the warmth of a hearth in some other life. Your one companion during meals is a small crucifix above your eating ledge. Christ, nailed and watching, brow furrowed, always halfway between compassion and exhaustion. You chew more slowly under that gaze. It's hard to overeat when eternity is staring at your plate. There's no conversation, of course, not even muttered commentary. You've kept your vow of silence for years. The most you've uttered outside of prayer in the last decade was Amen, or the occasional Forgive me. Well, and that one time you stepped on a mouse, which brings us to your neighbors, the mice. They're quiet, mostly respectful. You've started naming them. The fat one with the scarred tail is Basil. The small, jittery one is called Cyril. You swear Basil understands liturgical rhythm. He once paused mid-scurry during the Sanctus. As you finish your meal, you take a moment just to sit. No praying, no chanting, just breathing. The silence wraps around you like a heavy cloak. It's not always peaceful, sometimes it's oppressive, but today it feels clean, like a page wiped blank. Then, of course, the guilt kicks in. Shouldn't you be doing something? Praying more? Flagellating? Translating a hymn from Syriac into Greek just for the challenge? That's when you remember the rule. After sext and before the next labor, a moment of rest is permitted. A moment you lie on your straw mat, not quite sleeping, not quite awake. Your eyes drift half shut. You count your breaths. Inhale. Exhale. The sound of wind outside. The gentle groan of the old wood beam above you. The distant clanging of a bell from the main chapel announcing none. The 9th hour of prayer. All ready. You sit up with a grunt. The nap is over. Back to your feet. You light the candle again and kneel once more. None is brief, but your back protests. You've knelt so often your knees are practically flat on the underside. But you chant anyway. Fringe trivia. Some Byzantine monks developed small wooden prayer stools shaped to match the angle of their bowed spines. You've seen a sketch of one once. You're tempted to carve one yourself, if only your penknife weren't so dull. As the final psalm echoes through your cell, you feel that familiar twinge of fatigue. Not just in your body, but in your soul. The kind of quiet ache that comes from loving God with your whole heart, and sometimes wondering if He's ghosting you. You rise again and prepare for the next labor. Today it's copying scripture. Tomorrow maybe cleaning the brazier. But for now, the rhythms of prayer have set the tone. Humble, endless, divine, and mildly exhausting. You ease your stiff limbs off the mat with a grimace that would qualify as comedy if anyone were around to see it. But you're the only audience here. You and a few silent saints nailed in gold leaf. Breakfast, or what passed for it, sits heavy in your belly. Not unpleasantly, but with the kind of weight that reminds you you're still tethered to flesh. Still human. Still capable of being hungry again in 3 hours despite living like a hermit with medieval portion control. You don't talk. You don't sing. You just breathe for now. And begin the slow walk to the narrow niche in your cell that counts as your wash corner. It's no more than a stone basin, permanently stained from decades of use. The water inside hasn't moved since yesterday, or the day before. Still, it's blessed. Probably. You splash your face again, if only for the ritual of it. Back in the center of the room, you begin your chores for the mid-morning. First, sweeping. The broom is handmade, coarse bristles tied to a crooked stick. Not exactly ergonomic, but it's humble, and humility's the whole point. You drag it across the floor with practiced rhythm. Sweep, step, sweep, step, dust, straw, the occasional bit of dried bread crust. It all ends up in the same pile, which you carefully push into a clay jar in the corner. You'll empty it once a week when someone opens the slot in your door to give you fresh supplies. No eye contact. No words exchanged. Just a hand. Sometimes it's even the same hand. Your arms ache more than they should. The years have crept up, one fast day at a time. Once you could carry water jugs and bundles of wood with a monk's pride. Now you feel like your spine files a complaint every time you bend. The next task is laundry. You gather your robe, spare thankfully, and soak it in the corner bucket. You scrub with soap made from ash and animal fat, a gray puck that smells faintly like despair. You don't scrub hard? What's the point? You're not exactly auditioning for sainthood on cleanliness alone. Still, you scrub because it's part of the rhythm. Historians still argue whether anchorite cells like yours had fixed plumbing or relied on runoff channels and manual hauling from nearby wells. Yours, no plumbing. Just you, a jug, and rainwater when it's generous. You hang the robe on the cord strung between two wall hooks. It sags with a wet squelch. The sunlight through your slit window hits it just enough to create a damp halo around its shoulders. Time for dusting. Yes, even monk's dust. You wipe the small altar shelf, the corners of the icon frames, the edge of your wooden stool. You find a beetle carcass behind the crucifix. You say a prayer for it, you're not sure why. Then you move to the floor again. This time, not to sweep, but to scrub. You wet a cloth and rub circles into the stone, working the edges where soot and oil have stained the edges black. No one will see this floor. No guest will ever enter. But still you polish. Because this isn't for others. This is for God. Or maybe just for your own sanity. You remember the story of a monk who spent 20 years painting a single illuminated manuscript page. The gold leaf alone took 5 of those. When asked why he kept going, even when he started going blind, he supposedly said, "The Lord sees more clearly than I." You mutter this to yourself as you scrape away a stubborn bit of candle wax with your thumbnail. You move on to one last task, checking your writing tools. Your quill is frayed at the tip. You slice it gently with the penknife, sharpening it to a fine point. You test it on a scrap of parchment, writing the name Elias. Your name. Just to make sure it still works. The ink is nearly gone. You'll need to request more next time the slot opens. You dread it. It means writing a note on the request scroll, which feels like shouting in this life of whispering. The daylight is stronger now, filtering in warm and golden. You allow yourself a small smile. Sometimes the light feels like a visitor, a friend. It travels across your floor each day in the same arc, like a silent sermon written by the sky. You sit for a moment, back against the cool stone wall, and just watch it move. It passes across the palm of your hand, lighting the creases, the scars, the ink-stained fingertips. This body you're in, it's not young, not graceful, but it served you well. Despite the frostbite, despite the fasting, despite the constant kneeling and constant standing and constant scrubbing of a room no one else will ever enter. Fringe fact. Some hermits in the Syrian desert used to sleep standing up, leaning against ropes to avoid falling into temptation through dreams. You tried that once for 2 minutes. Then you cracked your chin on a table edge. You chuckle softly, the sound startling in the quiet. You haven't heard your own laugh in weeks. It sounds foreign, but not unwelcome. Just then, you hear it. The distant clang of metal. The bell from the outer cloister signaling. Just then, you hear it. The distant clang of metal. The bell from the outer cloister signaling the next prayer hour is near. You sigh, feeling the weight of routine settle back onto your shoulders like a woolen mantle. You roll your neck, your joints clicking like a reliquary being opened. There's no urgency. Time moves differently here. There are no deadlines, only hours sanctified by prayer, meals dictated by bells, and purpose dictated by, well, a long-abandoned urge to be holy. And so you rise once more, wiping your hands on your robe, and prepare to return to your wooden desk. Vellum awaits. Ink, the words of the Apostle Paul maybe, or John Chrysostom's sermons. Or perhaps just a blank page, which in this room is sometimes the most sacred thing of all. You sit at your desk, though calling it a desk is generous. It's more of a plank balanced on two stones, stained dark with age and ink. The surface tilts slightly leftward, like it's as tired of this arrangement as you are. Still, it holds. Like you, it survives by routine. You arrange your tools with the same quiet ritual as always. Quill, inkwell, parchment. You run your hand over the vellum. It's smooth, slightly oily, the skin of a calf, once breathing, now repurposed into a vessel for sacred truth. You whisper a short prayer, not because anyone told you to, just habit, or reverence, or both. You dip your quill and begin. The ink runs thin at first, hesitant, like it forgot what it's here for. You pause, dab it on the side of the inkwell, then try again. The first letter curls to life. A capital gamma ornately flourished. You're copying a homily today. Chrysostom's voice filtered through your fingers again and again. You could recite this one by memory, but that doesn't make it any faster. Outside, a bird chirps once, then decides that's enough liturgical contribution for the day. You keep your head down. The room smells of oil and parchment and the lingering must of damp stone. The only sound is the soft scratch of quill on skin. Sometimes you forget to blink. Sometimes you forget how long you've been writing. The words take over, the rhythm, the pattern. You're not a person anymore. Just a conduit, a vessel. You wonder if the parchment feels it too. Your breath over it, the slight tremor in your fingers, the ink soaking into its pores. A drop of sweat lands right between logos and agape. You smudge it with your sleeve and keep going. There's a famous debate among historians. Did Byzantine monks actually value artistic flair in their transcription? Or was simplicity the ideal? You've seen both. Some scripts are pure function, quick, minimal, austere. Others, they're practically singing. Gold leaf, floral borders, saints tucked into the curls of letters. You try to keep it balanced. One illuminated capital every few pages. Enough beauty to honor the word, not enough to look like you're showing off. But sometimes you do add an extra swirl, just to remind yourself you're still human. You pause to stretch your neck. It pops in 3 places. You wince and rub your fingers into the muscles. It's like untangling old rope. Your eyes blur for a moment, so you look away from the page and out toward the window slit. Sunlight has shifted. Noon is past. The shadows have flipped their angle. You'll need to light the candle again soon, but not yet. Let the last of the day's warmth hold. You close your eyes briefly and let yourself imagine, just for a second, that you're back in the world. Not the bustling, crowded Constantinople of memory, but something quieter. A street, a bakery, the smell of fresh loaves, the crackle of crust as you tear one open, the heat of it in your hands. Maybe someone smiling at you. Maybe someone who knows your name, not just your prayers. You open your eyes before the thought drifts too far. Memory is a dangerous indulgence here. Like honey, sweet, sticky, and likely to attract spiritual flies. You finish the page you're working on and pause. You blow lightly over the wet ink. It shimmers. The letters catch the light like tiny prayers glinting on water, and now stretch again. You stand, arch your back, groan audibly. Your spine sounds like a poorly tuned lute. You take a few slow steps around the room, rolling your shoulders, shaking out your arms. You mutter the Jesus prayer under your breath, not as obligation, but as background noise to your body's quiet protest. Fringe fact: a few monks were known to tie ropes around their writing arms to keep their sleeves perfectly still during long copying sessions. You once tried this with a length of old twine. You lost circulation in your fingers and dropped the quill. Never again. You return to your plank desk. Another sheet. Another passage. This one from Isaiah. You mouth the words silently as you write. You've begun to suspect your lips know Greek better than your mind does. They shape the syllables like old friends. The candle needs lighting now. You strike the flint. It takes 3 tries. Your fingers are clumsy from the cold and repetition. Finally, it flares to life, dancing just enough to make the shadows on your wall start twitching. It's not creepy exactly, but it does feel like the saints might be winking when you're not looking. You resume. Another line. Another letter. The steady rhythm of eternity scratched into skin. You've never questioned the usefulness of what you do. After all, words survive longer than buildings. Longer than bones. Maybe longer than you. The bell tolls again. Distant. Muffled. It's time for Vespers, the evening prayer. You sigh, cap the inkwell, blot the parchment carefully, and stack the completed page under a smooth stone. No wind will disturb it here. No hands will touch it for months, maybe years. You kneel again. The mat is stiff, still damp in one corner from yesterday's spilled water. You ignore it. You bow. You pray. The sun has faded to amber now, washing the wall in a golden hue that makes even the cracks look holy. You chant low and steady, the words vibrating in your chest like a lullaby to yourself. The same psalms, the same refrains. But they land differently every time. Like your soul is a different room each day, and the echoes change depending on where you're kneeling inside it. Vespers ends quietly. You don't move right away. You just sit, watching the candle's flame grow sharper in the twilight. The room feels smaller as the light outside dims. Or maybe you're just more aware of its edges. One more task before rest. You pull the small, folded scrap of parchment from under your sleeping mat. On it, a few lines of your own thoughts. You write one sentence a day, just one. You'll never show them to anyone. You don't even know why you started. But they help. They keep the silence from swallowing your name. Today you write, "Today I copied the voice of the prophet and forgot my own." You fold it up, tuck it away, blow out the candle. Evening has arrived. You wake again, not with a start, but like a candle relit from its own wax. There's no bed, no blanket, just the mat, your robe, and the slow, aching stretch of dawn across the wall. The cold has settled deep in your joints. A small knot behind your shoulder blade pulses like a slow drum. You rub it, then stop. Pain is part of the prayer now. You rise to kneel. This isn't one of the prescribed hours. This is your own. A private sliver of time between sleep and structure. You whisper the morning prayer half to God, half to yourself. It's short, repetitive, warm like soup. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Over and over until it starts to coat your ribs like breath. And then, with the faintest sound, a scrape of wood on stone, the meal slot opens. A hand, pale and dry, pushes forward a bowl. You recognize the hand. It's Brother Antonio's. His wrist bears a faded scar shaped like a fishhook. You don't speak. He doesn't speak. Just the sound of the bowl touching down, and then the slot closes again. You carry the bowl to the center of your cell. Lentils today. Cold but thick. You eat slowly using 3 fingers. A spoon would be luxurious. Forks are practically sin-adjacent. You chew each bite with reverence and not a small amount of resignation. The taste is earthy, faintly metallic. You think about herbs, salt, cheese. But only briefly. Hunger reminds you to be grateful. Mainstream fact for the day: Byzantine monks were often vegetarians by monastic rule, avoiding meat to subdue the passions. You've never craved lamb so much in your life. Once done, you clean the bowl with the same linen you use for everything else. You keep a small jar of vinegar under your stool for this very purpose. It smells sharp enough to double as a sermon. You wipe your hands, pat your face, and turn toward the wall niche where your psalter rests. The leather cover is cracked from years of use. It creaks when you open it, like an old friend trying to stand up. You read aloud today, softly, just enough to hear your voice. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want..." You pause. Let that echo. You definitely want. You want warmth, company, maybe an extra crust of bread. but you also don't. There's something soothing about the want, about knowing it will always be there, like the cold stone beneath you or the drip of water from the ceiling crack during spring. Halfway through Psalm 31, you sneeze, loud and sudden. You laugh right after. It's a foolish sound, out of place in this carved tomb of discipline, but the dust gets you every time. You make a mental note to sweep again later. Probably won't happen. Next comes what you affectionately call the battle hour, staying awake while reading the lives of the saints. The text is thick, dense with names and miracle stories, and after a meal and poor sleep, your eyelids become agents of sabotage. You reach for the scroll. Today's saint is Theodora of Alexandria. She disguised herself as a man and lived in a monastery for years without anyone noticing. When accused of fathering a child, awkward, she raised it in silence, never revealing the truth. Only after her death did they discover she was a woman. Fringe fact, some monasteries kept lists of honorary male saints like her, used as examples of humility and devotion over bodily identity. You always liked Theodora. She played the long game. You read her tale twice, slowly, with care. Then you sit in silence and wonder how long you could keep a secret like that. Years? Decades? Eternity? There's no answer, just the slow creak of your knees as you stand. Time to stretch. You rotate your shoulders, tilt your head side to side. Your neck pops again. It's either divine realignment or impending paralysis. Hard to say. You walk small laps inside the cell. 10 steps, turn. 10 steps, turn. Your robe brushes against your ankles, stirring the dust you promised to clean. The air smells faintly of old wax and damp wool. You count each step. Not because it matters, but because it's the only math you still do. Midway through your pacing, you pause at your wall of icons. There's Christ Pantocrator holding a book that never opens. The Theotokos, her gaze solemn and endless. A cracked icon of St. Basil, his eyes just slightly uneven, giving him a permanently skeptical look. You bow before each one, 3 times. With a whispered Kyrie eleison. Historians still argue whether monks like you saw these icons as literal windows to the divine, or more as meditative symbols. You've never cared either way. Some days they feel like windows, some days they feel like mirrors. You sit again, breathing slowly, eyes half closed. This is not a nap. This is Hezekiah, inner stillness. Or at least your best attempt at it. The goal is to empty yourself of all thought, which is, of course, impossible. Instead, you think about not thinking, then think about failing to not think, and then wonder if that failure is itself a form of prayer. You sigh. You whisper the Jesus prayer again, this time slower. Spacing it between breaths, 1 word per inhale, 1 word per exhale. Your pulse slows, your shoulders soften. The room quiets, as if leaning in to listen. A fly buzzes near your ear. You swat gently, miss, and whisper an apology. And then you hear it again. The distant ring of the next bell. Mid-afternoon prayers approach. Time to kneel, time to recite, time to return to the loop that loops because it has nowhere else to go. You press your palms together. The crack of your knuckles is your Amen. You're still on your knees when the light begins to change. Slanting, softer now, as if the sun itself is preparing for rest. Your cell glows gold for a breath, then shifts toward gray. You murmur the next set of psalms, your voice barely louder than the rustle of your robe as you adjust your posture. The mat under your knees has flattened into something just slightly more forgiving than the bare stone beneath it. You've memorized every thread, every fray. You know that the left corner curls up in winter, and that sometimes, rarely, a spider builds its web beneath the edge. Your stomach growls. You ignore it. The next meal won't come for hours, and even then, it'll be more gesture than sustenance. A crust. A few olives if it's feast day. If it's not, Well, it's always Lent here, even when it's not. After prayer, you sit back against the wall, bones clicking in protest. You roll your shoulders, stretch your fingers, and reach for your needle. Yes, embroidery. Or what passes for it. You pull out the rough square of cloth you've been working on for, what, months now? A small cross surrounded by looping vines. The thread is uneven, dyed with old onion skins and rusted nails. The colors are muddy but earnest. Every stitch is a heartbeat. Mainstream fact: Byzantine monks often took up crafts in their solitude: textile work, wood carving, even rudimentary metallurgy. Not for profit, of course, for devotion. Every act, even threading a needle, could be liturgy if you let it. You prick your finger. Again, it's always the same spot. You sigh and press it against your robe, leaving a faint blot that joins all the others. Your skin is a roadmap of tiny punctures and calluses. A monastery in miniature. You keep stitching. A few rows in, your mind drifts. Not far, just enough to remember. A market once. Maybe Thessaloniki. You were younger, not a monk yet. You held a piece of embroidered cloth, rich blues and golds. A woman sold it. She smiled at you. Or maybe you imagined that part. You never bought it. You didn't have the coin, but you remember the feel of it between your fingers, like holding water that didn't spill. A scholar might ask, what compels a man to retreat into a stone cell forever? What turns a boy from the laughter of markets to the silence of walls? Historians still argue whether most anchorites were escaping the world, or drawn deeper into it through God. You don't argue. You just know you stayed, and never left. You finish a thread and tie it off with a crooked knot. It's not beautiful, but it's honest. Like your prayers, like your handwriting, like your life. Your fingers ache now. You rub them gently and set the cloth aside. You stare at the wall where a faint line marks the passing seasons. Not carved, just the stain where sunlight fades over time. You watch it. It doesn't move, but you swear it breathes. You decide to walk again. 10 steps, turn. 10 steps, turn. This time, you murmur the names of saints with each lap. Not alphabetically, not thematically, just how they come. Makarios, John, Cassia, Simeon, Mary of Egypt, Euthemios. Mary. You pause on that name, the desert saint, lived wild for decades, hair turned to veil, clothes to dust. Her stories always unsettled you, not because of her sins, but because of her freedom. She walked away from everything, even her name, in a sense. Fringe fact: some monks kept tiny carvings of their favorite saints worn smooth from thumb rubbing. You have one. Saint Anthony carved into olive wood. It's not much more than a nub now, but it comforts you, like a relic you made for yourself. You stop pacing. Your breath is heavier now. Not quite panting, but winded in the quiet way that reminds you your lungs are not eternal. You return to your plank desk, where the candle has melted into a lopsided tower of wax. You don't light it yet. Instead, you open the tiny wooden box beside it. Inside, dried rose petals. Crumbled now, almost dust. A gift from your novice days. A relic of a relic, brought from a procession honoring the Theotokos. No one knew you saved them. You don't take them out. You don't need to. Just seeing the box reminds you there was once celebration. Music, people. You close the lid gently. Another bell? This one's not for prayer. It's the monk's way of saying day's end is approaching. You're not alone in your isolation. The walls know others are behind them. Dozens, perhaps. Maybe more. All silent, all unseen, but all connected by the same rhythm of bells and breaths. You light the candle. Its glow flickers across your tools. The psalter, the embroidery cloth, the half-finished scroll you were copying this morning. You trace your finger over the last word you wrote. Theos. God. You whisper it aloud, and it echoes back softer than you expect. You open the scroll again, just one line. You tell yourself, just one. But lines become paragraphs. Paragraphs become pages. The ink moves, your hand follows. The candle shortens. Eventually, your fingers start to shake. Your eyes burn. But you're not done. You never are. And then you hear it. A knock, not loud, two soft taps against the wood of your slot. You rise slowly, joints creaking like ancient doors. The meal again? Evening now. You open the hatch. A bowl, something warm? Maybe barley. Maybe not. And, wait, a second item. Bread. Not just any bread. Real bread. Still warm. Scored with a cross on top, the crust golden and perfect. Your heart skips. It must be a feast day. You forgot. Or maybe it's someone's name day. Or maybe Brother Antonios just had a little extra to share. Historians might debate the severity of monastic fasting, whether certain monasteries were more lenient or whether rules bent under kindness. You don't care. This bread is mercy. You sit. You hold it in your palms like it's holy. And before you take a bite, you whisper a quiet, "Thank you." To God, to Antonios, to no one in particular. The crust cracks. The inside steams. It tastes like memory. You chew slowly, repeatedly, as if each bite rewinds your soul just a little. And when it's gone, you sit in silence, crumbs on your robe, the candle flickering low. Another day, half gone. Another world, held entirely in your cell. You tilt your ear toward the door, listening. Nothing but the candle's whisper and your own pulse in your throat. The meal has settled. Barely a half handful of grain and that miracle of warm bread. But it's enough. You don't crave more. Not tonight. Instead, you lean back against the cold wall and close your eyes, just for a breath. Not sleep. Not yet. Instead, you drift into the practice the fathers called neipsis. Watchfulness. A sort of internal guarding of the heart. Like being both shepherd and sheep at once. You scan your thoughts one by one, the way a sentry might check for cracks in the city wall. The goal isn't to stop the bad thoughts. That's fantasy. The goal is to see them arrive. Nod politely and not invite them to stay. It's harder than prayer. You'd rather recite 300 psalms than chase down one rogue image from a memory you didn't even realize was still alive. Mainstream fact. Nepsis was considered one of the highest forms of spiritual discipline in Byzantine monasticism, where monks became warrior-like in guarding the heart from temptation, pride, or what they called the noetic fog. Yours is particularly foggy tonight. You try to trace the origin of one thought. Just one. A memory of a tavern. Laughter. A small wooden cup filled with something dark and bitter. You wonder how that memory made it this far. You haven't tasted wine in over a decade. And yet here it is, bubbling up like it was yesterday. You mutter the Jesus prayer again. You shift. Stretch your legs out in front of you. The candle's flame dips suddenly, throwing shadows into wild shapes across your ceiling. One even looks like a crown. You chuckle. You, a king of stone and straw. The fire settles again, obedient. You glance toward the eastern wall where a faded fresco of the crucifixion still clings to life. The paint has peeled in parts, but Christ's eyes remain. Always the eyes. You once read that Byzantine artists intentionally made them too large, to capture eternity looking back at you. You've been caught in that gaze more times than you care to admit. Your knees ache again. You rub them absent-mindedly. Sometimes you worry they're grinding themselves into dust. But you've also heard that the relics of saints often include fragments of joints, elbows, fingers, toes. So maybe, you joke to yourself, your kneecaps are halfway to sainthood. You turn your mind toward the next duty, copying. You pull the half-rolled parchment forward. This one's a theological tract, thick with metaphors like trying to swim through honey. The author, anonymous naturally, writes in winding clauses and nested phrases, like he's trying to hide the meaning from everyone, including himself. Still, your job is not to interpret, only to preserve. You sharpen your reed, dip it in ink. The first stroke is a cross. Every page begins with one. Then carefully you begin, letter by letter, word by word. Your handwriting is small, efficient, legible if not beautiful. You used to be prouder of it. Now you care only that it lasts, that the ink doesn't smudge, that the vellum doesn't tear. Fringe fact: some Byzantine monks would breathe lightly on their parchments before beginning to warm the surface, believing a living page would hold divine words more reverently. You tried it once. It made the ink run. You never did it again. Half a page in, your hand starts to tremble. You rest, massage your wrist. You stare at the wet line of text, and something in you aches. Not the hand, but the soul. There's beauty here, buried deep beneath the layers of language. A line about the soul being a garden enclosed. You like that. You add a tiny star beside it. No one will know why. But if someone reads this in 100 years, maybe they'll pause there too. Maybe they'll whisper, someone once loved this line enough to mark it. The candle gutters. You add a second one. This one's stubbier, older, but still holding fire. The wax drips in slow motion, catching a dried fly on the base. You resist the urge to flick it off. Everything here stays. Everything has a place. You write a little more, then pause. The wind outside howls once, sharp and fast, like something running past the monastery. You freeze, then exhale. Just wind, not a demon. Probably. Historians still argue whether Anchoritic monks believed in literal spiritual attacks, visions, voices, the sense of a presence in the room. You do. You felt it. Nights when the walls pulse, the air thickens, and the icons seem to breathe. Call it fatigue. Call it imagination. But when it happens, you reach for your cross and press it to your forehead until the shadows retreat. Not tonight, though. Tonight is quiet. You return to your scroll, finish the paragraph, and lay your reed pen down. Your back is stiff. Your eyes are gritty. You take a slow breath through your nose and blow it out through pursed lips like you've seen sick brothers do when they're trying to calm the fever. A soft knock again. This time it's not food. This is the sign. 2 taps, then 1, then nothing. You know what it means. It's the priest monk. Coming with the Eucharist, you rise quickly. Straighten your robe, wipe your hands, brush the crumbs from your lap. You light the 3rd candle. Your cell glows. The hatch opens. A whispered prayer, a gleam of gold. You kneel, hands outstretched. A small morsel of consecrated bread. A drop of wine. The body and blood. You whisper, Amen, and receive it. Your heart slows. A warmth spreads through your chest. Not physical, not metaphor, just peace. He's gone before you can lift your head. The hatch is closed again. The silence even deeper now, as if the air holds its breath for a moment longer. You sit again, but this time you don't reach for anything. You just let the stillness wrap itself around you like a warm shroud. The icon's eyes seem softer now, the walls kinder. You whisper a prayer, not a psalm, not a chant, just your own. Something small, something private. Something like, thank you. I'm still here. You close your eyes. Just for a moment. Not sleep. Not yet. The candle hisses out with a soft sigh, as if it too is weary from the day. Darkness folds around you like a woolen cloak, thick and familiar. You sit still, waiting for your eyes to adjust. Not because you need to see, but because the dark is different each time. Sometimes it presses, sometimes it invites. This evening, it invites. You reach into the low drawer beside your cot and pull out your prayer rope. A long one, 100 knots, coarse as a horse's tail. Each knot was tied by hand, not by you, but by a brother whose fingers shook with the weight of his vows. You run it between your thumb and forefinger, whispering the Jesus prayer with each knot like it's the only language left in the world. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Again, again, again. You lose count. That's the point. Mainstream fact: the Jesus prayer became the cornerstone of hesychasm, a mystical tradition of Eastern Orthodox spirituality emphasizing stillness, repetition, and the pursuit of unceasing prayer. In some texts, saints claim to reach a point where the prayer recited itself, echoing in the body even in sleep. You're not there yet, not even close. Sometimes the rope tangles. Sometimes your mind wanders, off to strange places. A dog you knew as a child. The smell of figs in August. That one time you laughed so hard at Brother Gregorios's joke that lentils came out your nose. He's dead now. Your hand stops moving. You sit in the quiet, the rope pulled like a snake in your lap. And then you hear it, the mice again. They've made a nest behind your icon shelf. You don't have the heart to chase them out anymore. Once, in a fit of zeal, you tried, pounded the wall with your palm, shouted, even banged a pot like some village scullery girl. They came back. You take it as a kind of joke now. God's reminder that you're not the only creature stuck in this cell. Fringe fact: some monks believed animals in monastic cells carried spiritual significance. A mouse could be a tiny test of patience. A spider, a reminder of humility. One hermit in Cappadocia even claimed to preach nightly to a toad who never blinked. The toad presumably remained unmoved. You reach under the cot and pull out the scroll of dreams. It's not official, it's not sanctioned, it's just your dreams. Written on scraps. Little notes on parchment too damaged to use for holy copying. You write down only the strange ones. The ones that feel like they meant something. The ones where the Virgin is smiling with crooked teeth, or where you're walking on water but it's molasses, or where someone you don't know is whispering your own name. You scan a few. Red sky. Bells underwater. Goat with two heads speaks Greek. You chuckle. Historians still argue whether Byzantine monks took their dreams seriously or simply as distractions of the flesh. The truth probably is both. You know some who would confess a single impure dream as if they'd committed a sin in full daylight. You just write them down. You slip the scroll back beneath the bed. A chill breeze snakes through the tiny window slit near the ceiling. You rise slowly and drape your extra wool cloak across the gap. It does little to stop the cold. You rub your arms and huff out a breath that fogs in front of you. Outside, a night owl calls once, a deep, sad sound. You murmur a prayer for all the souls who are awake in the darkness. The mad, the sick, the guards who pace monastery halls, the child who cries for no reason, the woman who waits for a husband who won't return. You don't know these people, of course, but your heart stretches out anyway, like it wants to wrap around the world and keep it from shivering. You lie down on your cot. It's not soft. It's not meant to be. The straw mattress is old, flattened, and smells faintly of mold and cedar. You shift until your spine finds its familiar groove in the boards beneath. You drape your robe across yourself as a blanket. You fold your arms over your chest like a corpse in a fresco. Stillness. Then the whisper starts. No, not a voice. The chant. Not out loud, inside. It comes from nowhere. It's not melodic. It's just a slow, rising sound like the hum of bees in a distant field. You don't control it. It just arrives. Maybe it's memory. Maybe it's a side effect of being alone too long. Maybe it's the saints. Or maybe you joke to yourself, it's your stomach arguing with your soul again. You let the chant pass. You follow it like a boat drifting downriver. No oars. No rudder. You begin to drowse. Not sleep yet, but the step just before. That sweet moment where everything blurs, where thought and dream shake hands, and reality takes a polite step out the door. You think of your mother. Not her face, her voice. Calling your name. Scolding maybe, or praying. Or singing. You're not sure. You think of rain on the monastery roof, of the time it leaked and left a water stain shaped exactly like a fish. You told Brother Nikitas, who insisted it was a sign. You still don't know of what. You think of color. Blue. The exact blue of the Virgin's robe in the icon. The one the mice sometimes nibble behind. Then for some reason you think of vinegar. Not the taste, just the word. And then the lightest, softest thing happens. Sleep arrives. And you don't even notice. The world shifts ever so slightly. You don't know it, but your breath deepens. The rhythm of your chest slowing into a quiet pulse that only the dark knows. You dream, but not sharply. More like half-formed memories drifting into the edges of consciousness. There's a place somewhere deep in your mind where everything feels soft, and there's no weight to carry. In the dream, you are walking through the monastery again, but it's different. The walls are taller, the ceiling's impossibly high. The air smells like incense and something sweet, like honeycomb. The light is soft, not from the candles, but from a hidden source. It flickers, dapples across the stone floor, making you feel like you're drifting in a sea of liquid gold. You hear someone behind you. You turn, but there's no one there. Only a long shadow stretching across the floor, like a reminder that everything is always watching, even when you think you're alone. Historians still debate whether monks believed in dreams as divine messages or just as the wandering mind, tired and prone to strange visions. Some believe that dreams could offer glimpses of a higher truth, a fleeting contact with the divine, while others said they were nothing more than the result of too much fasting and prayer. In the dream, you feel the walls pulse with life, as if the stones themselves are breathing. There's a door ahead, one you've never seen before, and you reach for it. The handle is cool in your hand, but it's locked. You pull harder, but it doesn't budge. The feeling of being locked out is like a quiet ache, a reminder of the life beyond these walls. You press your palm against the door and close your eyes. In the distance, you hear chanting, faint, like it's coming from another world. You wake suddenly. The dream drifts away like smoke, and you're back in your cell. The quiet is absolute. Not a creak. Not a breath. Your eyes snap open. The room is dark again, but not oppressive. The candle you blew out hours ago is left behind a smell of wax and the faintest scent of burnt wick. For a moment, you wonder if the door you saw in the dream was a real one. Perhaps hidden somewhere in the monastery. A secret passage, perhaps, or some ancient room no one speaks of. But that's a thought for another time. You lie still, letting your body readjust to the stillness. The ache in your bones is a familiar companion, but it doesn't sting so much now. You roll over, pulling the blanket closer around your shoulders. And then, of course, it's back. That whisper. The chant. Not an overwhelming noise, just a gentle rise and fall, like the hum of bees again. This time closer. You know it's not real, not in the way your waking mind thinks of reality, but it's there. A sound, a presence that vibrates through the silence, inviting you deeper into your own thoughts. A quiet voice inside your mind reminds you of the scripture you've been copying today, the part about stillness. About not forcing prayer, not making the soul work harder than it needs to. The stillness of God is as close as your heartbeat. You let the whisper take you, and once again you drift thus to sleep. Not sleep, not yet, but the moment right before it. Your fingers are still wrapped around the prayer rope, but you're no longer counting. You've stopped even trying to follow the knots, letting them slip through your fingers like sand. The world outside your cell doesn't matter anymore. The hunger, the ache, the cold, they're all part of a larger rhythm, something that hums deeper than skin and bone. It's strange to think, but there's a kind of comfort in knowing you're a small piece of this larger silence. You are nothing more than a prayer, a breath, a flicker in the flame. The chant quiets, but the feeling doesn't go away. The warmth in your chest lingers, almost like a memory of the bread and wine from earlier, and you let it spread, gently through your ribs. You think of your brothers, of the ones who have gone before you and those who still remain. You wonder where they are now. Some of them may be asleep. Some may be awake, pacing in their own cells, doing the same thing you are now, waiting for sleep, for peace, for the whisper that will carry them through another night. You think of the Virgin, the stars that you know are out there beyond the stone walls, the one silent moon hanging low in the sky. There's no need for them to shine on you, to find you in your cell. You are already found. It's a strange thing, this solitude. People often speak of loneliness like it's something to be feared, avoided. But here it feels different. Here it's a companion, a warm presence, a teacher even. Historians have often wondered whether Byzantine monks truly felt this same peace during their long nights alone. Some suggest that the discipline of isolation and prayer gradually turned the monks into something beyond human, part saint, part angel. Others argue that it was the shared rituals, the daily services, the brotherhood that made it bearable. But for you, the night is just as sacred, just as full. You slowly begin to settle back into the stillness. Your breathing slows, deepens, and in that space between waking and sleeping, you feel a brief kiss of something divine. Not a sign, not a vision, just a feeling. It passes through you like a cloud, soft and fleeting. You take a final breath, quiet, without rushing. And this time, when sleep comes, you don't resist it. It pulls you under like a tide. And for once, you're not afraid of where it might carry you. The world is distant now. When sleep finally wraps you in its embrace, time itself seems to slow, stretching out in an endless, dreamless quiet. The cell around you, the walls, the bed, the faint smell of incense become distant echoes as if they no longer belong to the waking world. Your body is a weightless thing, floating on a sea of tranquility, no longer confined by the aches and pulls of daily life. But as the hours pass, something stirs at the edges of your dream. A faint glimmer, the smallest crack in the quiet. It starts with a murmur, a soft sound, barely perceptible, like a voice in the distance calling your name. You don't wake. You don't need to. The sound is familiar now, something you've come to expect during the long nights of silence. The monks of old would have called it a noetic whisper, a divine voice speaking to the heart, calling it to a higher state of awareness. You are no longer concerned with whether it's real or imagined. In this space, the line is blurred. You feel the pull of the whisper like the tug of a current beneath the surface of the sea. It's soft, but persistent. It draws you deeper into the stillness. The dark becomes a kind of sacred space, almost holy, as though you've crossed into a realm where time ceases to have meaning. You do not fight the pull, you follow it. A flash of light, not a blinding light, but something softer, gentler. The kind of light that seems to fill the air, not from any visible source, but from within. It fills your mind first, spreading warmth through the depths of your soul. It's the light of peace, of something holy, of everything you have longed for. It's so pure, so full of grace that it's as if you are floating in a vast sea of calm. The sound of the whispering chant rises again. This time, it's clearer. The voices are not just distant murmurs. They are here with you. The saints, the angels, all those who have walked this path before you, they are here, just beyond the veil. You sense them. You can feel their presence like a warm embrace wrapping around you, welcoming you home. For a moment, you wonder if this is the moment you've been waiting for, the moment of full communion with the divine. But no, it's not the time yet. This is not the moment of final rest. This is just a glimpse, a brief moment of grace, enough to remind you of the beauty of what awaits beyond the veil of sleep. And then, just as quickly as it came, the light begins to fade. The voices slowly quiet. The warmth that surrounded you slips away, leaving you with only the lingering memory of its touch. It's a gentle fading, like the last breath of a prayer whispered at dusk. You don't feel disappointed, though. This is not a loss. This is a gift. A moment of divine reassurance. a reminder that there is more to the silence of your cell than just the dark. You will have more time, more moments like this when you are ready. You don't need to hurry. Historians often debate the spiritual experiences of Byzantine monks, especially those who lived in isolation. Some claim that moments like these were rare, glimpses of divine truth that could only come to the truly devout. Others argue that the isolation itself was a test, a kind of spiritual training ground that forced monks to confront their own inner darkness before they could experience the divine light. For you, there's no need for debate. The experience was real as the breath in your lungs and the ache in your bones. You know what you felt. The whisper fades into silence. And you, still resting in the quiet, find that you no longer need to struggle. You've surrendered to the night. You are no longer a man wrestling with his thoughts or his faith. You are simply part of the whole, a soul existing in the silence, letting go of all desire, all fear, all hope for something more. You realize that the peace you long for is already here. It is in the very stillness of this moment. You don't need to wait. You are here, now in the embrace of the eternal. You drift deeper. The last thread of consciousness slips away, and sleep claims you fully without resistance. You are suspended, drifting, in that perfect space between sleeping and waking. The hours blur and stretch, and time begins to lose its meaning altogether. You've experienced this before, but each time it feels different. The borders between dream and reality are fluid, as though they are simply two sides of the same coin. You cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. You have become part of both, and yet you still feel yourself. The sensation of your body remains, but it's distant, like a garment you wear that has grown too familiar. The edges of yourself flicker into view, but they are soft, like a painting on the edge of a dream. The walls are no longer cold stone. They feel alive, breathing with you. You are aware of the space. It's small, yes, but not confining. It cradles you, holding you in the warmth of its quiet. There is no anxiety here, no feeling of being trapped. You are at home in this cocoon of stillness, and for the first time in a long time, there is no desire to escape. You belong here. A sound, distant yet clear, breaks through the quiet. It's a bell, a single deep tolling, the kind of sound that shakes the air around you and reverberates deep into your chest, filling you with a sense of urgency. The bell tolls again, then again, each ring a soft call, each note pulling you towards something. The bell sounds not like a summons, but a reminder, like the echo of something you've known for a long time. You hesitate. You don't know why you hesitate. Perhaps it's fear. Perhaps it's simply because you've grown so used to the quiet that the ringing is a sudden intrusion, a reminder that there are things beyond this space, beyond the cell, beyond your own thoughts. Things you cannot yet understand. You close your eyes, listening. Historians still debate the significance of the bells in Byzantine monasteries. Some believe that each toll was a calling to prayer, a signal to enter into the presence of God. Others claim that the bells were a reminder of death itself, a marker of time slipping away, urging monks to live each moment as if it were their last. In any case, the bells were a constant presence, a pulse of life in a world that was otherwise still and silent. The bell tolls again, louder this time. You don't open your eyes, but you can feel it in your bones, the deep resonance of the sound pulling you toward something, an unknown truth, a divine revelation, a moment of clarity. And then, just as quickly as it began, the bell stops. The silence returns. But this time, the silence feels different. It's not oppressive, it's not heavy. Instead, it feels full of potential, full of life. The moment stretches out before you like an open sky, endless and vast, offering you everything and nothing at the same time. You are weightless, floating in that space. You exhale slowly, letting your breath settle into the rhythm of the silence. And then you hear it. A whisper. Software. Just beyond the edges of your hearing. It's not a word, not a name, but a feeling. Something that brushes against the inside of your mind like the softest touch. The feeling lingers as if it is a message, something you cannot fully comprehend, but know to be true. You try to grasp it, but it slips away, just like the other dreams. Just like the moments that come and go, leaving only traces in their wake. There is no need to chase it. It will return when it's ready. For now, you let the feeling linger, allowing it to settle like dust in the corners of your mind. You breathe and you wait. The hours pass without a sound. Somewhere the wind stirs outside your cell, brushing against the walls, making the ancient stone creak. You hear the faint rustle of your cloak as it shifts in the dark. There's a flicker of movement near the window, a shadow passing by, but it's gone as quickly as it came. You don't need to investigate. You've learned to trust the stillness. For the first time in what feels like forever, you feel at peace with the passing of time. The ticking of the clock in the corner of your mind is muted, almost imperceptible, and the sense of urgency that once filled your heart has faded. Historians often argue about the concept of time in monastic life. Was it a burden or a blessing? Did the monks seek to escape it, or did they embrace it as a way to measure their devotion? Some believe that time, once separated from worldly concerns, could become a tool for spiritual growth, while others felt that true peace came only when time itself was forgotten, allowed to slip away into eternity. You think of time now, but not as you once did. It's not something to be fought, not something to conquer. It's simply something to live in, to breathe in, to accept. The world outside your cell continues without you, but it no longer matters. You are here, you are present, and the night stretches on as it always has. The silence stretches long into the night, broken only by the occasional creak of the old stones or the faint flutter of something unseen in the dark. You lie still, your thoughts a blur, the hum of the monastery stillness surrounding you like a thick, comforting blanket. Every breath seems to take you deeper into the peace that surrounds you, and for a moment you wonder if this is what it means to be fully present, to be nothing more than a soul breathing in sync with the world. Outside, the moon casts a pale glow through the narrow window of your cell, its light muted by the ever-present stone and ivy that cling to the walls. You can't see the sky clearly, but you feel its vastness, stretching out beyond the limits of your cell, beyond the limits of the monastery itself. You wonder what the world looks like beyond these walls, what the lives of those who walk freely through the world are like. But the thought is fleeting. The world outside feels distant now, like a place you have no connection to anymore. You've stepped out of time here, slipped through the cracks between day and night, between the living and the dead. Here in the stillness, there's no need for the concerns of the world. You've spent so many years like this, so many nights alone with your thoughts, with your prayers, with the walls that have become your constant companions. You no longer yearn for anything outside this place. The walls that once seemed confining have become a refuge. You've come to see them as part of you, like the body you live in. And the darkness, the emptiness, has become something sacred, not something to be feared. And yet, the whisper comes again. It's faint at first, like the faintest hum just beyond your hearing. But as you lie still, breathing deeply, it sharpens. A voice almost imperceptible, like a thread weaving through the fabric of the night. At first you think it's just the wind, the sound of the monastery settling, but then it comes again. A word, or something like it. Too soft to make out, but unmistakable. It's calling to you. You don't move. You simply listen, your senses sharpening as you wait for the next sound. Historians often discuss the phenomenon of auditory experiences in the monastic life. Was it the deep silence and fasting that made monks more sensitive to sounds? Or did these sounds carry some deeper spiritual meaning? Some suggest that monks' heightened sensitivity to their environment, allowed them to feel the presence of God in subtle ways, while others believe it was the result of the mind becoming attuned to the mysteries of faith during long hours of prayer. But for you, the voice or the whisper is not something to analyze. It is simply a part of this experience, part of the fabric of your existence here in the cell. It is not something you understand, but something you accept. You exhale slowly, your heartbeat steady in the quiet. You wait for the voice to return, but it doesn't come again. Instead, a different sound fills the air. The faint rustle of fabric. The quiet tapping of feet on stone. The sensation of movement, but no one is there. For a moment, you think of your brothers, the monks who share this monastery with you. Do they hear this too? Are they lying awake in their own cells, listening to the same whispers, the same faint movements in the dark? Or is it just you alone in this stillness? The question lingers, but you push it away. The stillness returns, as deep and profound as ever. But it's not the same stillness anymore. Something has shifted. Something has been revealed, just beyond the veil. Something you cannot put into words. Something you cannot hold on to. It's like the air has thickened, the space around you filled with a presence you cannot touch, but which is undeniably real. You feel it in your chest, in the center of your being. It is not a frightening presence, nor a comforting one. It simply is. A presence without form, without shape, yet inescapable. It is the space between thoughts, the moment just before sleep takes you, the breath that comes just before a prayer. You don't try to understand it, you simply let it be. The silence deepens again, and you feel yourself sinking lower into it. The boundaries of your body blur, and for a moment, you cease to exist as a separate entity. You are no longer you, but part of the fabric of this place. Part of the great silent expanse that stretches out beyond all knowing. Historians have long debated whether moments like this, the profound experiences of presence and divinity, are true mystical encounters, or if they are the result of the mind's yearning for connection. Some claim that these experiences are the product of extreme isolation and discipline, while others believe that the divine can indeed be found in these moments of stillness, where the soul is open to the infinite. You think of it all for only a moment, but the thought passes. There is no need for explanations, no need for answers. You are here now, and that is enough. You take a slow, deep breath, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you allow yourself to let go of everything. The prayers, the rules, the questions, everything that once filled your mind slips away, leaving only the vastness of this moment, the eternity that is found in the smallest of spaces. You close your eyes, and the presence, the whisper, the air, they are all part of you now, and you drift. Not to sleep, not yet, but to something just as sacred. The peace of the night is complete. The air is thick with quiet, almost as if the very space around you is holding its breath. Time has become something you can no longer measure, slipping away like water through your fingers, fluid and effortless. You are no longer concerned with how many hours have passed, nor with what comes next. There is no urgency. There is no need. The moment, suspended in eternal stillness, stretches on. The darkness is gentle, wrapping around you like a soft, familiar blanket. The stone walls of your cell have long ceased to feel cold or confining. They are no longer mere barriers. They are part of the landscape of your soul, shaped by years of devotion, of stillness, of waiting. They stand as quiet witnesses to the prayers you've offered, to the solitude you've embraced, to the transformation you've undergone. In this small, hidden space, you have become something more, something beyond the body. You can hear the faintest sound, like the rustle of dry leaves in the wind. It's not the wind itself, of course. The wind can't reach you in this sacred, enclosed space. But the sound is real nonetheless. A movement, subtle and indistinct, skimming the edges of your consciousness. You don't stir. You don't need to. Whatever it is a part of the night, a part of this existence that surrounds you. It's as natural as your own breath. The stillness feels like a song, a melody without sound, but you can feel it resonating in the very marrow of your bones. The rhythm is slow, almost imperceptible, but it's there, guiding you deeper into the quiet, deeper into the space where the soul can rest. You've heard it before, many times, but tonight it feels different, more alive, like it has a purpose you can't yet understand. You wait. You listen. The song unfolds as it always does, but tonight you feel it inside you like a pulse, a heartbeat, something sacred. Historians have long debated the concept of holy stillness in the monastic tradition. Some believe it to be a form of divine presence, while others argue it is simply the result of long years of meditation and ascetic practices. Was the silence in these cells a divine gift, or merely a consequence of extreme isolation? It is a question that no one has been able to answer definitively. But for you in this moment, it doesn't matter. The stillness is truth. The quiet is the divine. The hours stretch on. The darkness deepens. Outside your window, a faint light begins to break through the night. Not the harsh, bright light of day, but a softer, more subtle glow, like the promise of morning just before it arrives. It's the first hint of dawn, the faintest glimmer of light spilling over the horizon. But even though the night is fading, there is no urgency. You are not bound by time. You're not bound by the passing of day and night. You are here now, and that is enough. The first light of dawn brings no rush. The world doesn't demand your attention. There is no need to rise. The rhythm of your life is not tied to the hours, to the needs of the body, to the demands of the world. You rise when you are ready, when the Spirit moves you. In the peace of this place, you know that nothing is urgent, nothing is forced. The sun will rise when it's time. The world will turn as it always has. But for now, there is only this moment. You don't rise, not yet. Instead, you rest in the quiet of the dawn, in the space between sleep and wakefulness. You let the light fill your mind without hurry. You let it wash over you slowly like a tide creeping in, moving with the rhythm of your breath. Historians often debate whether monks sought to escape the world, to transcend it, or if they simply accepted it for what it was, an extension of God's will. Some claim that the silence and solitude were meant to purge the monk of earthly desires, to free the soul from the distractions of the world. Others argue that the monk's retreat was not so much an escape, but a return to a state of being that had been lost in the noise and rush of everyday life. For you, the question has long ceased to matter. Whether it's an escape or a return, you know that the stillness is where you are meant to be. You are here because this is where you can hear the divine voice most clearly, where you can feel the presence of something greater than yourself. The light grows slowly brighter, and you realize that somehow you are ready for it. Ready for the day to begin. Ready for whatever comes next. But not yet. Not yet. There is still time. The dawn continues to inch closer, but you remain still, not yet ready to rise. You've grown accustomed to these moments of quiet anticipation, to the stretch of time between sleep and wakefulness, between the night's fading embrace and the inevitable arrival of morning. You know in your bones that there is no rush. The day will come when it is meant to, and you will greet it as you always do, with patience, with acceptance, and with a stillness that has become second nature. The faint light that slips through your window has begun to brighten, but the shadows in your cell remain long, stretching over the stone walls like ancient memories. The light is soft, as though it knows it must not be too hasty in its arrival. It creeps in, gentle and unhurried, much like the passage of time itself. You watch it, fascinated by its slow progression. It is a dance of sorts, a gradual unfolding, a quiet reminder that all things, even the most seemingly urgent, have their own pace. And so you wait. You've learned that in this space, time is no longer an enemy to be conquered, but a companion to be understood. You've learned to let the moments unfold without the need to control them. There is no urgency here, no need for speed. The monastery, with its ancient walls and steady rhythms, has taught you the value of stillness, the sanctity of patience. Historians have long debated the role of patience in monastic life. Some argue that it is the cornerstone of the ascetic journey, a virtue that allows the monk to transcend the distractions of the world and focus entirely on the divine. Others believe that patience is simply the byproduct of a life that slows to match the pace of the natural world. Whatever the case may be, one thing is clear: patience is not something you cultivate overnight. It is something that grows with you over time, like the stone walls that surround you, slow, steady, and unyielding. The first sounds of the morning begin to drift in from outside, distant, indistinct at first, but gradually becoming clearer. The faint clink of a bell somewhere in the distance. The soft rustle of robes as other monks begin their day. The steady rhythm of footsteps on the stone floors, echoing through the hallways of the monastery. You are not alone. You never truly were, but the solitude here has always been a shared solitude, a peaceful communion with those who understand the sacred rhythm of life. The light outside your window has become brighter, more insistent now, but still, you remain. You don't feel the pull of the world, the need to rise, to move. The day will come when you are ready, when the quiet is no longer enough and the world outside calls to you. But for now, you are content to remain here, to watch as the day slowly unfurls itself before you. Historians argue whether the monastic commitment to solitude and silence was a rejection of the outside world, or a form of engagement with it. Some suggest that the monks saw their withdrawal as a form of spiritual warfare, an act of resistance against the distractions and temptations of the world. Others believe that the monks viewed their retreat as a means of deepening their connection to God, seeing their separation from society as a way to listen more closely, more intently, to the divine call. For you, there is no clear answer. You don't feel as if you are rejecting the world, nor do you feel as though you are running away. You are simply here, in this moment, in this space, listening, not just to the world outside, but to the stillness within. As the light continues to grow, you feel it now, not just on your skin, but inside you, filling the empty spaces of your heart and soul. It is gentle, like a whisper, like the faintest brush of a hand against your cheek. You don't have to do anything to invite it. You simply have to let it come. You let the light wash over you, and for a moment, you feel that perfect harmony between body and soul. There is no tension, no striving, just being. The light continues to grow, the shadows receding as the sun rises higher. The quiet of the night has slipped away, replaced by the soft murmur of the world coming back to life. But even as the world awakens, you remain here, rooted in this stillness. You don't need to move just yet. You don't need to leave this space, because it is here that you are most alive, most true to yourself. Historians often speak of the contrast between the active and the contemplative life. The monks in their quiet cells chose contemplation over action, silence over noise, stillness over movement. Was it a life of inaction, or was it a life of action in a deeper, more profound sense? Some suggest that the monks' withdrawal was an active choice to focus on the most important things: spiritual growth, connection to God, and inner peace. Others argue that it was an avoidance, a refusal to engage with the world as it was. For you, the question is irrelevant. It is not about action or inaction. It is about presence. And right now, in this moment, you are completely present. The world will continue on its path, and you will continue on yours. And here, in the stillness, in the quiet light of dawn, you feel that peace again. The peace that has no need for answers, no need for justifications. It simply is. The day is here now. The light fills the room, and the time has come to rise. But you rise not because you must, but because you are ready. The stillness has filled you. The peace has rooted itself deep within you, and now, as the world awakens, you will rise with it. But not yet. Not yet. The world outside your cell has come fully awake now, and with it, the gentle sounds of life begin to filter through the thick stone walls. You can hear the monks moving through the corridors, the soft murmurs of voices, the clinking of utensils as the morning meal is prepared. The daily rhythm of the monastery is beginning again, steady and unfaltering, but you remain still. The transition from the deep peace of the night to the gentle stirrings of the day is something you've come to cherish. The world moves around you, but here within these walls you are a part of something timeless. The sun has fully risen, its light spilling through your small window, casting long shadows across the stone floor. The quiet that envelops you feels different now, somehow. It's not the stillness of the night, but something more grounded, more rooted. It's the silence of morning, the peaceful calm before the demands of the day begin to take hold. You don't rush to meet it, you don't need to. The peace of this moment is enough. The world outside will wait for you. Historians have long been fascinated by the way monastic life transcends time. Some claim that monks lived outside the ordinary rhythms of society, but others argue that they were simply attuned to a different kind of time. A time not defined by hours or minutes, but by the rhythms of the soul. The silence, the prayers, the contemplation, these were not escapes from time, but a way of engaging with it in its truest form. And so, here, in this quiet space, time bends, stretches, and transforms. You are no longer bound by the demands of the world. You are simply here. Here in this moment, as the morning light pours into your cell, as the sounds of your brother's movements fill the air. As you rise from your bed, the ritual of the day begins. You move slowly, not out of reluctance, but out of reverence for the simple tasks ahead. The act of dressing, the ritual of prayer, the quiet contemplation as you prepare yourself for the day. Each movement, each moment, feels sacred. There is no rush. There is no need to hurry. You step outside your cell into the coolness of the hallway, the stone beneath your feet familiar and comforting. The world outside is still waking up, but there is no urgency here. The day will unfold as it always does, at its own pace. And for now, you are content to simply be part of it, to feel your place in this timeless rhythm. The monastery, in all its quiet grandeur, has become more than just a building to you. It has become a living thing, a place that breathes with you, moves with you. The walls, the stones, the beams above your head, they have witnessed every prayer, every moment of stillness, every second of transformation. They are not just structures, they are part of the sacred space you inhabit, part of the rhythm of your life. They hold the stories of those who have walked here before you, and in their silence, they speak to you of a life that transcends the ordinary. As you step into the courtyard, you find the others already gathered. There is no need for words. The stillness of the morning has already settled over them, too. They move with the same calm, the same quiet reverence that fills you. Each of you, though separate in your own way, is bound together in this shared rhythm, this quiet pulse that defines your existence here. The hours ahead will pass slowly, each one unfolding as it should. You will return to your prayers, to your reading, to the simple tasks that fill your day. There will be no distractions, no interruptions. The world outside may rush by, but here in the sacred space, time slows to match the stillness within. It is a life of simplicity, but one that holds deep meaning in its quiet moments. Historians often debate whether the monastic life was one of passive escape or active engagement with the divine. Was it a life of withdrawal from the world, or a life that allowed monks to more fully engage with the mysteries of existence? Some suggest that the monks' practices were a form of resistance to the chaos and noise of the world, while others believe that the simplicity of monastic life allowed them to better hear the divine voice that is often drowned out in the noise of everyday life. For you, there is no need for debate. You are here, in this moment, and that is enough. The world may move at its own pace, but you have found a rhythm that transcends it. Here in the silence, in the stillness, you are exactly where you are meant to be. There is no urgency, there is no rush, there is only the peace of the present moment. As you continue through the day, the rhythm of life moves gently around you. There is no rush to the tasks ahead, no need to hurry. The world will continue on its way, but for you, in this sacred place, there is only the rhythm of the soul, the quiet beat that moves in time with the heartbeat of the universe. And so you move forward, slowly, quietly, with purpose. The day unfolds before you, but you are no longer bound by it. You are part of it, part of something greater. And as the hours pass, you remain in this sacred space, a place where time, like the walls of your cell, has become a part of you. And as night falls again, you will return to the peace, to the stillness. The cycle will begin again. But for now, you are here. The light has faded, but the silence remains. And that's a wrap on today's journey into the quiet life of a Byzantine monk. It's a world of stillness, reflection, and patience. So, before you drift off to sleep, let me know in the comments, what topic would you like to see in the next video? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And hey, if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Your support means a lot and helps me keep creating. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the next one.